Welcome back to Books, Rhymes, and Life, the best show on writing and hip hop in America, where it's illegal to take a donkey to church. Tonight, we're going to talk about our top 5 no skips albums in hip hop. So we're not going to play around. We're going to get it going. We're starting off with number 5, Bigger and Deffer by LL Cool J. BA, I already see you rubbing your paws to get to that one. What's good with it, man?
First of all, you see I got the hat on, right? Old school, great fisherman cap. 88, baby. That's when we start rocking these hats. Yo, LL Cool J, Bigger Than Deffer, was the first complete album I ever heard in my whole life. And when I say complete, I mean complete. It had something for everybody. It had radio cuts. It actually had 3 songs that were designed for video. It had something for the street. It had something for the ladies. And this became a formula that LL sustained his career even now. He used that formula to become a mega star.
A lot of rappers use that for a while.
I mean, you know where it came from, though. Ladies love Cool J. Bigger and Deffer, man. If you find a skip, you're a hater. That's simple.
Camo, how you feeling about Bigger and Deffer, man?
I like Bigger and Deffer a lot. LL's always been the GOAT. This album definitely, amongst other albums, definitely shows why he's considered that. What's not to like? He was doing it like no other at that time. He brought the energy. He slowed it down for the ladies. And it's not just ladies that love Cool J.
Ladies love Cool James. Ladies love Cool James. Loves him some ladies love Cool James, too.
Did I go too far? Absolutely.
No, my brother actually introduced me. One of my brothers actually introduced me to a lot of music. And one of the first albums in hip hop that I ever heard was Mama Said Knock You Out. So that's always been my favorite LL album. But I can't really argue with this. There isn't anything on here to hate on, to really push back. And I'm really glad to see LL have an album on this list because he really deserves to be here.
Like I said, fundamentally, you said it before, the way he made this album became a formula for hundreds of hip-hop albums afterwards. Like if you wanted to get mega airplay, it was kind of the formula that most of your larger record companies were trying to push artists to do before we got into the thug era, so to speak. So I feel like the album that set the precedent should be on the no skips list because it's a no skip.
Books, Rhymes, and Life.
All right, y'all, welcome back to Books, Rhymes, and Life. Working on the no skips albums. We're at album number 4, The Life and Times Volume 2, Sean Carter, Jay-Z. This is one of my favorites, man. As an album, Jay is always really good at putting his albums together. Like, I think that's one of the things he's the best at is making a whole album. And like, he did use that formula, but he did his own thing with it too. This one, there's no song on there that I skipped. It's not only a no skip album. It's like, there's not even a song on there that I listen to just to tolerate. You know, like sometimes you're like, I mean, I'm listening to every other song. I'll listen to this one too. There's not even like, I genuinely like every song on this album. And not that my opinion is all that importance of anybody, but that is hard to have that kind of an album that well put together thematically that can hold somebody all the way through. Like thematically, you stuck to whatever your idea was for that album. You stuck to it so well that it can hold your audience from song 1 to song 14. That's pretty impressive.
Agreed.
BA, what'd you think, man?
Yeah, it's actually my favorite Jay-Z album, to be honest. And a lot of people look at me crazy, but In My Lifetime Volume 2 was what I like to say a front to back to front album. You can start it anywhere in the album. Literally, it's actually, for me, it's fun to just hit random on the album and just be like, ooh, what song is next? Like, cause like you said, there's not one that you just tolerate. There's not a disappointing track on there. I mean, when you get to track 9 and track 10, it's still as hot as it was from the intro all the way through the album, man. Great album by Jay.
Camo, man, what's up?
Agreed. I think this was the trifecta, the hat trick the first 3 albums from Jay, I believe you can argue as no skips. It wasn't until volume 3 that you get a song here or there. I thought this was a solid, you know what I'm saying, third at bat. This album also stands the test of time. You can go back and listen to it right now, and it's still like when it came out. It still takes you back there. You still like all the songs. Everybody still got super strong verses, strong production. I think it's a solid no skip album. It's so solid, in fact, you kind of hate to see it so low on the list, but then there are also some other super solid albums that are up there. But yeah, man, nobody's mad at this one.
Books, rhymes, and life.
Welcome to Books, Rhymes, and Life, the best show on writing and hip hop in America, where it is illegal to walk backwards after sunset. We're
That's in
working on
Oklahoma.
our No Skips album. We're working on our No Skips albums, and we are at number 3, Death Certificate by Ice Cube. BA coming in at number 3. I know this is one of your favorites. This is one of your favorites. Tell me why.
Man, Death Certificate, again, it's funny because most of my favorite no skip albums aren't my actual favorite album of the artist, but the last one with Jay and now this one, Death Certificate is my favorite Ice Cube album of all time. It for me, it was fundamentally unflawed. It was the maturation of who Ice Cube is today. It was his Brian song, if I could be dated a little bit as far as movies are concerned. Him separating himself from NWA and really being his own artist, production, right? Really, really having complete control and made a masterful album. Again, if you find the skip in No Vaseline, you're a hater. You find the skipping on the death side or the life side, really, you're a hater. Death Certificate is just phenomenal.
Camo, what you think about Death Certificate, man?
Yeah, not mad at it at all. Super huge Cube fan. I don't think he gets enough flowers. Of course, he gets recognition for being in the group, but as a solo artist, I don't think he all the time gets enough recognition. Super solid. Still drops dope stuff. This album here was a little bit before my time. I believe I was 9 or 10 when this came out, so I had to go back. And once I got into hip hop and started, digging into crates and stuff, so I didn't get to appreciate it as it dropped like some other people did. But definitely not mad that it's on here. Big Cube fan.
Yeah, I'm a big Cube fan too, man, and I really like this one too. I was looking, it got better press than I thought it did. I mean, later on, but I mean, people waited years later, but they did start putting it on those lists. Finally recognizing it as one of the best, like one of the best. They still put it in a category, like they still want to call it one of the best gangster rap albums. One of them called it one of the best coke rap albums. Like none of that is really necessary. Just call it one of the best rap albums. It was a really good album, and it's weird that all classics are not no skip albums. But all no skips albums are usually classic. I mean, you could still have a classic and it not be a no skip.
Books, rhymes, and life.
So we're moving on to number 3. No skips albums for Books, Rhymes, and Life list. It's Dark and Hell is Hot. DMX.
It's my best.
Yeah,
DMX.
man. It is really hard it's really hard to argue with X on any list. Really, it's hard to argue against.
Right.
I mean, is there a list that other than like, nicest rappers nicest rappers? Like he seemed like he was a nice guy, but not on the microphone. I mean, X is on a lot of lists, man. It's dark. You could have put, and actually one of us did put 2 of his albums on there. There's probably 3 albums you could probably of his that you could put on there. Well, since you did do that, Camo, why don't you start us off?
Man, it's dark and hell is hot. Woo! One of my the reason I had to put this on the list is that's actually one of my favorite albums of all time. And there's a lot of hip hop out there, so that's a big statement. But probably tied for my favorite DMX album. Maybe I edge it out a little bit more than Flesh of My Flesh, but I usually those two are tit for tat. So, man, the skits, everything, an intro, an outro. If somebody coughs or sneezes in the background, you love it. Everything on this album. Do I need to go on?
Absolute, you making a face, man. You got something to say.
No, I mean, definitely not in a negative way. No. First of all, we got introduced to arguably DMX at his best, which is odd since this is his initial project. So there's a song on this album called Stop Being Greedy, where he initially were two different people having a conversation in a song. And not only did he take on vocally like two different tones in the voice, but the lyrics, the style, the delivery were as two different people. We're looking at genius level here. I mean, we praised Eminem when, Guilty Conscience came out, right? Stan, just artists that can do that are very
Big.
special. Big, yeah. Artists that can do that are very special because that could have been a whole nother song. Like he could have took them bars and literally made a different song. That's how different of the personalities that were portrayed on that track. One of my favorites and literally Flesh of My Flesh maybe edges it out for me as being my favorite DMX album because it has my favorite song on it. But other than that, you can't argue.
Yeah, there's nah. It's hard to describe a no skip album other than saying that every song on it is great. But he did 2 albums worth in that year of great songs. Now I know part of it is that his style was so new and that we loved it. Like that was a big part of it, I know. But your style can only carry you so far. There are plenty of rappers out there with great styles that I don't want to listen to 2 albums in the same year from. And he was not one. He could have done 3 that year. And I would have got that third one. And I mean, he was the first artist with 2 number 1 albums to drop in the same year, right?
Yeah.
Or that dropped
Yeah.
number 1 in the same
One.
year.
And I think
And,
the magical part about that, hold on, with Camo, excuse me, is the fact that it didn't sound like he finished one album and then had a bunch of tracks left over to make a second album. Like he literally made a second album that was as dope, if not doper in some regards than the first. He did not have a sophomore jinx, which is crazy when you think about the time span in which he dropped the second album.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar. It didn't sound like those were leftover tracks that from the first one that was just in the vault, but
They gave it a personality.
Mhm.
It did have its own personality, but it did, however, feel to me like it picked up right where that one left off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he added
Um,
another Damien. The skits helped pick it up. Yeah, they really put it. It was produced well. It got put together well.
That's
Even
what
though
Swizz.
they apparently rushed it.
Yeah, they were trying to
Mhm.
empty the vault out as Russell was selling Def Jam off, right? But
They want nothing left over.
yeah, to me, when I heard that, I was kind of going, "Wait a minute, all these were in the vault? Like these didn't make the first out? Y'all were just sitting on these?"
Yeah, what did he have left? I know he still had something when he passed away. I'll take another X album.
Books, rhymes, and life.
All right, the number 1 album on the Books, Rhymes, and Life No Skips list, Me Against the World by Tupac Shakur. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. If to listen to it probably is my favorite album to listen to because I listened to it, I imagine 110 times in high school, all the way
At
through.
least.
Maybe 1,000 times all the way through in high school, and I can still listen to it. I can do every word of every song, and I still listen to it. So I don't know what else to say when you memorize an album and you still listen to it. That is about as good as an album gets. Tupac hit on every emotion a human can hit on in this album. And that was his strength, was making you feel his emotion. Like Tupac might not have been the best lyricist out there. He might not have been the best storyteller. He could do a little bit of a lot, but I wouldn't put him in the top of a lot of categories other than making you feel his emotion. And he really did it with this album, a full range of them, all the way through from Dear Mama or Old School.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's so many different emotions. If I Die Tonight, just all the way across, so many emotions. But yeah, Camo, what do you think, man?
Yeah, man. This album made me first off realize the power of music. Someone supposedly from such a different lifestyle or background than me, I felt like I knew him. And the fact that I couldn't really relate, right? But I could very much relate to what he was going through, helped me realize the power of music, made me want to become a rapper. The first complete rap song I ever wrote, I redid Dear Mama from this album and personalized it, recorded it on a karaoke machine and gave it to my mama for Mother's Day. That's how big of an impact this album had on me.
Absolute, man. Tupac Shakur.
I'm trying not to get emotional. And it's crazy that we're in the space that we're in now, and just thinking about this album does it to me. But a good project, no matter what it is, a good book, a good poem, a good movie, a painting. They all say that you may never understand what the artist was trying to say, but good art makes you feel something, right? And that this album, so many tears has gotten me through probably some of the roughest times in my natural life.
Yeah, no
Period.
doubt.
My father passing, just so many tragic things, but that song was always something I could kind of lean on. You know, to your point, it's hard to put Tupac in any top 5 list that all of us use all these criteria to try to make lyricist, story, whatever. But here's what I say about Tupac Shakur and that particular album. If that was the last album we ever got of Tupac Shakur, his spot in hip hop would still be solidified from that album alone. Period.
Well said.
Me Against the World was one of those that if you said that's it, I'm done.
Pure Tupac.
Yeah, that's
Just
it. I'm done. I'm not doing another album.
100% pure Tupac. Like he just opened up his heart and put it out there on that one album.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounded like he did a book of poetry and somebody decided to start putting some music to some of them tracks. That's what it sounded like. Great. I mean, the project was phenomenal.
And that is somebody that I never hate seeing on the top of a rap list, is Tupac Shakur. So that's a good way to end it.
Books, rhymes, and life.